Your ability to resist a donut is directly connected to your ability to solve a complex problem an hour later. Most people think willpower is a question of character, a matter of being tough. The debate over what willpower actually is, and whether it runs out, is one of the most heated civil wars in psychology. Both sides have a point that could change how you structure your entire life. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might find your position has shifted. For decades, the answer seemed settled. Willpower was a muscle, a finite resource you could exhaust. This theory, known as ego depletion, came from a series of now famous experiments. In one, researcher Roy Baumeister brought hungry students into a lab that smelled of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. On a table sat two plates. One held the warm cookies, the other held radishes. Some students were told to eat the cookies. The others were instructed to eat the radishes while resisting the cookies. Picture the specific agony. The smell of chocolate, the texture of a bland, watery root. These students were exercising immense self-control. Afterward, both groups were given a puzzle to solve. An impossible puzzle, the researchers timed how long each student would persist before giving up. The results were stark. The students who got to eat the cookies worked on the puzzle for about 20 minutes. The radish group, they lasted only 8 minutes, less than half. Their willpower had been used up fighting the cookies. Their tank was empty. This single study spawned an entire industry. The idea was simple. Every act of self-control, from ignoring a text message to choosing a salad over a burger, draws from the same limited pool. It's a biological resource linked to glucose levels in the brain. Each decision burns a little fuel. Make too many and you run dry. This theory offers a mechanical explanation for a feeling we all know. The feeling of being done at the end of a long day. Why you can stick to your diet all morning, but cave to a pint of ice cream at 10 at night. It's a state called decision fatigue. One of the most cited examples comes from a study of parole board judges. Researchers analyzed over 1,000 rulings. They found a disturbing pattern. A prisoner's chance of being granted parole depended heavily on what time of day their case was heard. Prisoners who appeared early in the morning received parole about 70% of the time. Those who appeared late in the day were granted parole less than 10% of the time. The judges' knowledge of the law was constant. Their personal philosophies were stable. What changed was their energy. As the day wore on, after hundreds of decisions, their mental resources dwindled. The easiest, safest, lowest energy decision is to say no. It maintains the status quo. It requires no new risk. Denying parole becomes the default path of least resistance when the willpower muscle is tired. This model of willpower leads to a clear strategy for life, ruthless automation. The goal is to conserve your limited self-control for the few decisions that truly matter. This is why some of the world's most effective people, from presidents to tech CEOs, wear the same outfit every day. It's one less decision. A tiny bit of fuel saved. They build rigid morning routines. They eat the same meals. They create systems to put as much of their life on autopilot as possible, freeing up mental bandwidth for the real work. That sounds convincing, almost a relief. But there's a problem with the foundation of this entire idea. In the last decade, the theory of ego depletion has been thrown into crisis. Dozens of labs around the world have tried to replicate the original experiments. The majority have failed. A massive meta-analysis, combining the data from many studies, found the effect to be statistically indistinguishable from zero. The willpower muscle, it seems, might be a ghost. This has opened the door to a radical new interpretation. What if willpower is a belief, a story we tell ourselves about our own limits? This competing theory is championed by researchers like Carol Dweck at Stanford. In her experiments, she first measured people's beliefs about willpower. She asked if they felt it was a limited resource that runs out, or if they felt it was something that could be energized by use. Then, she put them through a depleting task, similar to the original studies. The results were fascinating. For people who believed willpower was finite, the classic ego depletion effect showed up perfectly. They performed worse on a second task. But the people who believed willpower was unlimited showed the opposite effect. After completing a difficult task, they actually performed better on the next one. They were energized, not drained. Their mindset single-handedly determined the outcome. From this perspective, the feeling of depletion is still real, But it's an emotion, a signal. It's your brain's motivation system shifting gears. After hours of forcing yourself to do have-to work, your brain starts sending signals of fatigue and frustration. These feelings are a push to seek out want-to activities, something rewarding, engaging, or interesting. The feeling of being drained is a cost-benefit analysis. Your brain is essentially asking, is continuing this painful task really worth the reward? The moment the perceived cost outweighs the benefit, you feel depleted. It's a signal to stop, rest, or switch gears. It's information. This view is empowering. It suggests our limits are negotiable. We can train our mindset to see exertion as invigorating. But this idea also has a dark side. A sharp edge. If willpower is just a belief, then what happens when you fail? When you eat the cookie, skip the gym, or procrastinate on the project? The failure becomes purely personal. It becomes a flaw in your character, a weakness in your belief system. You simply didn't want it badly enough. You didn't believe in your own capacity. The old muscle model, for all its scientific shakiness, at least offered a mechanical excuse. It provided a sense of shared human limitation. This new model can feel like it leaves you alone with your failure. So where does the truth lie? As usual, it's more complex than either side wants to admit. The replication crisis damaged the simplistic willpower as fuel model, but the feeling of being mentally exhausted is undeniably real. A hybrid theory is emerging, one that combines both mechanism and mindset. Think of it like physical fatigue. An elite marathon runner and a person who never exercises both feel their muscles burn after a hard run. The physical sensation is real. It's measurable. Lactic acid is building up. Muscle fibers have micro tears. But the two individuals interpret that sensation in completely different ways. The novice feels the burn and thinks, "This hurts. I have to stop. I am damaging myself." Their brain interprets the pain as a sign of a hard limit. The runner feels the exact same burn and thinks, "This is it. This is the feeling of growth. My body is adapting." They have learned to associate the sensation of exertion with the promise of future strength. The physical state is real. The story they tell themselves about that state dictates their response. Willpower may work the same way. The brain does experience cognitive fatigue. Sustained attention is metabolically costly. Your focus drifts. Your motivation wanes. These are real biological processes. But how you frame that feeling is a choice. You can interpret it as, "My tank is empty," or you can interpret it as, "This is the feeling of hitting a new level of focus, and I need a short break before the next set." Let's revisit our examples. The judges giving harsher sentences in the afternoon are experiencing a real biological state. Sustained attention and complex decision-making are hard work. Their brains are shifting into a lower-effort, heuristic-based mode. They default to the simple, safe answer. Their belief about willpower is irrelevant to this underlying mechanical shift. But for an individual managing their own day, the belief is everything. The CEO wearing the same suit isn't just saving willpower points. They're minimizing attention switching and reducing the cognitive load of low-value choices. This preserves their executive function for high-value problems. It's a sound strategy, regardless of which theory of willpower you subscribe to. The system works because it honors the reality of cognitive costs. This brings us to the core of the debate. It presents two fundamentally different philosophies for living a productive, effective life. One side says your self-control is a precious, finite resource. You must protect it at all costs. You should build a fortress of habits and routines to defend it. Eliminate choices, automate your behavior, and save your strength for the battles that matter. It's a life built on the principle of conservation. The other side says your limits are a story you tell yourself. The feeling of depletion is a signal, an emotion you can learn to manage and reframe. The key is to cultivate a mindset that sees exertion as energizing, to lean into challenges and train your capacity for focus and discipline. It's a life built on the principle of expansion. One is about managing scarcity. The other is about cultivating abundance. One builds walls, the other seeks to tear them down. So, what do you think? Where do you draw the line? Is the secret to a well-lived life building a fortress to protect your limited willpower, or is it learning to believe you are limitless and training yourself to prove it?